Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss another interesting topic, and that has to do with open source and maintainers. I want to start with a very short narrative about the very recent past, that for years the message to a whole generation of future engineers was very simple. It was about learning coding. It was about incoming shortages, and millions of us listened to that. So we studied, we built projects, we networked, and all of that. And a lot of us happened to walk up to a door right as it was closing. And, I'm not going to turn this necessarily into arguing about whether engineers would use AI or not, because we all do. And the maintainer reviewing a pull request does it too. Um, the system that filtered your job application before a human ever saw it used it too. And that was never really the question, but what happens to people trying to enter a field at the exact same moment the ladder gets pulled up? So the junior roles, the internships, the apprenticeships, the places you used to go to make your mistakes while somebody more experienced was catching you and teaching you. So a huge number of those roles disappeared, and for a lot of capable people, that left just one door still being open, and that is open source. And I want to point you to something that put words to a feeling I've been carrying for a long time. And quite recently, I came across an article from pyOpenSci blog, which is hence the inspiration for the discussion today. The article was written by Leah Wasser and about what generative AI and open source actually looked like at SciCon US 2026. So I'll leave as well a link below for you to check it out. I'd encourage you to read it because it's honest and it's really well written. But what it does is describes maintainers, often unpaid, often a team of just 1 or 4 people facing a flood, because the barrier to submitting code has dropped significantly, but the barrier to reviewing that has not. And that means more pull requests, more issues, more noise, and the same number of hours in the day. So there's a line in that article from the closing keynote by Amanda Kisari, quoting Charlie Majors that I keep coming back to, and that is: disposable code is here to stay, but durable code is what runs the world. So anyone can generate 500 lines of code in a single afternoon, but what's rare is that is still completely irreplaceable is the human connection, to maintainers who keep doing their work for months and explaining things to confused users, who are keeping the lights on. And when maintainers talk about being flooded, it's easy to picture lazy people spamming like low effort code and things like that. And some of that is real. Some of that exists, of course. But most of the people showing up are not careless and they're not cheating. There are people who are locked out of every other path, learning in the only classroom that's still open to them. And that is how open source, I think, became the default place to learn for the generation who were never assigned a teacher. So that creates like something generally painful. A maintainer used to be able to assume a pull request came from someone who wanted to learn. And that assumption broke, and it's very difficult to restore that trust between users and contributors and maintainers. So the silence beginner now walks up to the door is carrying suspicion that they didn't do anything to learn because they're holding the same tool as the people who are gaming the system, and both sides are exhausted. Both are using the same tools for the same reason. And neither of those sides chose this. There isn't necessarily a villain in the story, but it is a system that cut human pathways and left everyone scrambling to fill the gap with automation. Um, and this is also, I want to tell you why, in the middle of all of that chaos, I feel a lot of gratitude because as a disabled developer, in all my time trying to find work in software, employment has rarely bent to accommodate me. But open source did, not necessarily as a favor, but simply because that's how it's built. That's the actual structure. Open source binds you to an outcome. Whenever you deliver it, that's not like a desk job that has fixed hours. You contribute when you have the energy. It's asynchronous and it's self-paced, and again, it's been a place where I got help. I learned and was treated like a person, and the one door left open turned out to be the most human room in the building. So when people ask what the solution is, I think about better structures, like letting contributors claim an issue before they submit, so responsibility is traceable. Volunteer roles dedicated to communication and mentoring, so the maintainer isn't carrying everything alone. Norms that say deadlines are real and the work is your responsibility, but if you need to extend one, tell us and we'll say yes. So in that way, disabled people and newcomers aren't filtered out. But every one of those good ideas runs into the same wall again and again, and they all land back on unpaid people. And here's the thing I had to be honest about with myself. This isn't really a money shortage. The companies running engineers ragged on AI output are not broke. The money exists. It just doesn't flow to the people doing the work, which is often very unglamorous, load-bearing work. But if we build new structures without redirecting that money, all we've done is reshape the same problem. In other words, more of the same, but in a different shape. And which brings me back to the line that durable code is what runs the world. And durable code is held together by people. The technology is extraordinary indeed, but it was never the end goal or the point of it. It's the people part, because that's the irreplaceable thing about it, and they always were irreplaceable. So I think this is just a thank you to the maintainers who answered all of my questions when no employer would, to the communities that became home. If you're standing outside that door right now, you are not lied to about your ability, but it was all about the timing of it. So keep showing up. The people who stay through the hard part are the ones still standing when things turn around. So thank you for listening. Take care and keep building.